Here we go again then. I'm doing another 80s wrestling game. So let's get all the usual de rigueur homoerotic jokes out of the way early. Yes, here we go. Are you ready? Lots of greasy muscular men grunting and groaning and cuddling and grappling with each other in just their pants. There it is. If boxing is the sport of kings and truly wrestling is the slightly camp prince of sports, and that prince definitely enjoys the odd quiche and has an encyclopedic knowledge of musicals and is good with colours. Now, I quite like wrestling, as evidenced by the fact I've done quite a few videos on that subject. Wrestlemania, though, it's the biggest event in the wrestling calendar, the centrepiece of the WWE sporting calendar, and something that's still going on today. There was one such event the week that this video was made, and as a huge event it was quite a lot quieter in this year of 2020. It's an event that normally garners over tens of thousands of fans, and it normally packs out entire cities with grapple fans, but this year it was COVIDed to oblivion. Chairman Vince McMahon, who was a greedy bugger, stuck to his guns and elected to carry on regardless, making Wrestlemania a rather surreal and very different type of major sporting event. A sporting event without a crowd. Is it really annoying you that I'm saying sporting event when wrestling is just people pretending to hit each other? I bet it is. It's a far cry though from say WrestleMania 6, which featured Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior in the main event, along with 67,678 excited crowd members in the Toronto Skydome. That's very different, of course, to the 2020 effort. Now, Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, who I just mentioned, happen to be two of the three playable characters in Ocean's WWF Wrestlemania, released a year after the pair shared the centre stage in Canada. The other playable character is Davey Boy Smith, otherwise known as the British Bulldog, a proud, bulky lad from Goulburn, Lancashire, with tight beaded braids like he's been to a 10-year-old girl's sleepover. Now, it's a very big year for the family of David Boy Smith, who sadly and tragically passed away in 2002 because he's finally been accepted into the WWF Hall of Fame. And so Davey Boy, the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan, well, it's these three daunting heroic slabs of meat. They are indeed pitted against several opponents in their quest for championship gold in the main event of WrestleMania. The opponents featured in this game are Mr. Perfect, who has long curly hair that looks like someone has spilled super noodles on his head. The Warlord, who must be a fan of Mad Max, only a sort of a low budget Mad Max that went straight to video. There's the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, who every time I do a video that features $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, I have to mention how much that he looks like a muscular Noel Edmonds. And then there's the final two opponents, who Messrs Hogan, Smith and Warrior. Yes, that's actually his surname, at least for the last 2 decades of his life. They would appear to be having a problem with authority figures, seeing as they're both apparently employed as government peacemakers. Given the license, Ocean handed development duties to programmers Twilight, a team who've already been featured on this channel for their work on several of High-Tech's Hanna-Barbera titles, including Atamant, Rough and Ready, and a couple of the Yogi Bear games. Twilight got me all excited when they decided to base the game's presentation on Tecmo's brilliant 1989 arcade game WWF Superstars, which just so happens to be such an important game in my life that it happened to be the very first game I covered on this channel. And well, they tried, I guess. The similarity can be closer seen in the 16-bit versions, though there are clearly animation frames taken from Tecmo's game present in the Spectrum one. Can we just stop for a moment and marvel at Mr. Perfect's face? What on earth is going on with that? Has the graphics guy ever seen a human face before, or has he just confused the human face with the skin on his own knee? I genuinely can't work out what's going on at all with his face, and it makes me sad and confused, and a little bit of bile came up because I'm actually getting a bit sick from looking at it. Even his own digital mother would look at Mr. Perfect and claim a different baby in the maternity ward. How could he be called Mr. Perfect with a face like that? So it tried to look like WWF Superstars, and it didn't really succeed. But does it play like it? Well, no. For one, there's none of the tag team action of my favourite wrestling arcade game after WrestleFest, and secondly, the crisp control and depth of Tecmo's title is replaced by frantic joystick waggling wankery and the sort of artless button pressing that a teenage boy might do when presented with a clitoris. We're hovering in Daley Thompson or track and field circles a little here, though this is no doubt a result of the Spectrum joystick having a singular functioning button when compared to its two-button arcade counterpart. You know what? It's probably the best they can do. Unfortunately, this means that movesets are very limited, so don't go expecting a wide range of different body slams, gorilla presses and whatnot. In fairness, there is a little more to it than just mere joystick waggling, as you can sort of manoeuvre about and plan your attack strategy from there. The game itself, well, it's a fairly decent challenge, but in terms of fighters, we're not looking at something on par with Target Renegade or anything like that. It's a latter-day Spectrum title, and as such, it's a fine attempt indeed. There is a two-player mode, but you're restricted to being Mr. Perfect if you're player 2, and as we've previously discussed, looking at that face would mean you probably don't want to be him. So was it disappointing for me as a child? Yes, it was. But it's no more significantly worse than most of those NES or Super NES LGN WWF games. In reality, it wasn't until the PlayStation or the N64 came out that we got a truly great WWF game on par with Superstars or WrestleFest in the home. So it's shallow and it's showy, and in that respect, WWF Wrestlemania is a perfect recreation of the source material. Sinclair user thrust old banana lip on its cover and liked it so much they gave it a Sinclair user gold award and said that this one's a real winner, and anyone who says different will get a lip that's thicker than Hulk Hogan's right arm. Big graphics, big moves and big gameplay, a thumping good game. Your Sinclair gave Wrestlemania a mega game and another 91 degrees, veritably shouting that this is it, Grapple fans. If you're a fan of wrestling or fighting in general, you'll have a ball with WWF Wrestlemania. Crash, they weren't quite as taken with the canvas slapping shenanigans, but they still gave it a quite lofty 83%, and japed that cracked skulls, mangled limbs and loose teeth ahoy. Great fun for all the family. For me personally, as I previously stated, it was a disappointment at the time because, as I've already guffed out of my mouth several times, Superstars was an absolute favourite of mine, and it was a very mediocre representation of that game. I probably want too much, and for that I am disgraceful. It really is an okay attempt, and I need to accept it for what it is. So if you fancy waggling your joystick while staring at long-haired, greased-up, lycra-clad hunks, and your wife can live with that, by all means, give it a go. And that is a bookending of homoerotic jokes. Hulk Hogan would be proud. Brother. K, thanks, bye.